Winter, spring, summer, fall, seasons change, we still keep it together.
Hey Beverly Hills 90210 fans, are you ready to dive deep, episode by episode, storyline by storyline, character by character, as we break down the making of your favorite zip code, with your hosts, Charles Rosin.
Did I say that?
Harry
This
Mollin.
heinous thing about the real person, and we're going, what? We're getting rid of this guy.
Pete Ferriero.
I'm feeling wonderful. Kathleen looks TV crush-worthy.
Like so many special guests. And all your questions. Live on the Beverly Hills 90210 show. Oh, yeah. Everybody dance now.
Okay, here we are at the top of the Dreams of Dylan McKay. I just wanted to give Chuck Rosin the floor to talk about a little bit about Luke Perry. This is a very difficult week for everybody. And yeah, man, so I just figured we'd start with you and you can kind of talk about what Luke Perry meant to you.
Luke, nobody worked harder than Luke. Maybe I did because of the nature of the role that I had. But indeed, he put in more effort and heart into his daily routine as it affected his work on 90210 as anyone possibly could. It was maximum effort on his part anytime. And he, because of the maximum approach, you know, he wanted more. He always wanted more, and, you know, really kept me on my toes. And I think that he wrote me when I left the show. What he wrote me is he said basically, and it was I took it as such a great compliment finding it after he'd passed, was that, you know, you and we went around the block a few times or something like that, but I would do it all over again. And you know, because look at the result that we had, and just thinking about his work. And one of the things that's been so great about the podcast, about the show, is being able for an old guy like me and now bringing in Larry to see this incredibly talented actor who, you know, bring things to life in a way that deserves to be seen.
Yeah. Larry, do you want to say anything about Luke?
I just, you know, he brought a lot of joy to the set. I'm thinking, you know, seeing him around there, he'd bring his pet pig. He had a pet pig. He, you know, we hear all the stories now of all the guest stars coming in, and the first one would welcome them in a kind of a, you know, into the family, so to speak, was Luke. I mean, it's just the sheer excitement of being a star on a hit show and being thrown all the work we were throwing at him. Like Chuck said, he really always wanted to push it more, and he was challenging in that way. But no, it was just a pleasure to work with him and a privilege.
Well,
Absolutely.
I can't speak enough as a fan, just what he meant to all of us. And tomorrow we're going to try to do a little Zoom. We're going to just play a quick shirt ad, and then we're going to come back and talk about the Dreams of Dylan McKay.
Okay. Do you know we have even more new shirts and merchandise at Beverly Hills 90210showshop.com? For instance, watch our Planet 90210 show with some sick Planet 90210 merch. Or want to celebrate at the Peach Pit? Check out this new shirt with a photo from Jill Henkel's collection. Or, oh my god, I know Claire Arnold fans are going to love this one. A little sex, rock, and really decent literature. Plus, for all you Larry Mollin fans, that's right, a Get Out of Here shirt. And don't forget about our classic designs. We keep loading it up with more items each week, so head over to Beverly Hills 90210showshop.com for all your 90210 stuff.
All right, so let's get starting to talk about this episode. This is a trippy episode, but first I want to welcome some of our panel. I just want to also say that John Grease is nowhere to be found. So that is not happening this week. But we have David Hayward, who was Kevin, and Tom Fichter, who was our production designer. So, hey, Tom, how's everything been with you, man? We haven't seen you in a little bit.
We kind of cut out right then, but everything's been going great. You know, just hunkering down.
The last time I saw Tom was at a magic show.
Did you see me there? I didn't. Yeah. I heard voices. Oh, I did see you. Yes.
Karen and I.
Yes.
one of the best
fun.
magic. Charlie Isaacs changed brokerages, and so for those of us who are his clients, Charlie being Gabrielle's husband, as they put on they used to have they do have a wonderful party every January, and they couldn't have it this year, so this was our reward for being loyal and happy, and it was a great magic show, So
It was a Zoom at the Geffen. Zoom into the Geffen magic show. It was pretty great. Everybody got a box and a package you had to open and do the magic along with them.
Oh, cool.
It was fun. Nice to see
And
you.
David's with us. Kevin, how are you, man? How's everything going with you?
Everything's going fine. We trying to get our house rebuilt, and other than that, the obstacles aren't too great.
Yeah.
Did something happen to your house, David, or was it a victim of?
There was this
I know
fire
you're
a
not in
couple
Malibu.
years ago that
No, really?
decided
That's
to
what it
take
was?
my house.
Oh,
No.
But
All right, Chuck.
it's
Let's
all
get into the dreams of Dylan McKay.
Yeah, well, I've must admit that the last, like many of the fans probably are tuning in and who were excited about the idea that we would be doing that this week. I too, this is what I've been thinking about for like the last 12 hours, pretty much obsessing it. And the thing is that, and we mentioned it, we got to see the episode, Larry, Pete, and I on Monday, and the idea being that we put Luke into some huge story arcs, and him starting it by walking in really and saying, I want to be in a triangle. I want to scramble it up. We got to do more, as we were talking in the tribute part. And so I felt kind of from that moment on, and every time we did something like that, his father episode, certainly having us lose the money. And now when Larry and I picked him up in season 5, I really felt like his caretaker. And that I had come through being his caretaker. And this one was, my battle between good and evil. I mean, this storyline and the character travails of Dylan McKay had been in my dreams for 2.5 years nonstop. He was the one I was servicing. I realized that prior to that, I was servicing the Walsh family kids. That's what because came out of the Walsh and then year 2. But by this point, Dylan McKay, and here was, my chance to do the battle, have some resolution, and, be able to have a character who's not trying to be so morbidly depressed and wanting to kill himself.
Right.
We had to get out of that guy, right? So, until Larry would kill his wife,
Jeez, yeah, right.
it's true. This was a sweeps episode, so we have to remember that we were building to this the fall of after Kevin, the dastardly Kevin and Suzanne steal his money. We pick him up, and now he's a destroyed man. He doesn't even have his wealth anymore, and he just drives himself down to the bottom. As the episode starts, he's driven off a cliff in his Porsche. And we do this enormous episode, and I want Tom to remember this, and Chuck, this was a double up.
Molly, I do remember.
Of course, right. Yeah, we were doing 2 episodes with this one.
Right. This is the one that we were doing. Kelly,
I think hate is another word. Hate is another word. I think is the one.
Hate is the 4th letter word.
It was a big Gabriella one, Andrea one, because that's why she never kisses Dylan. I tracked all the kisses in this episode for later, if you want to know. I tracked it all. I tracked all the women who kissed them.
Highlight of the whole thing. It is knowing the kiss.
The delight of
looking forward to that. I left that to you, of course.
Yeah, is this the episode? Is this the episode that also had the bar where he fantasizes all the girls?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where he's doing all the kissing,
That's right. Tom, you need
that is the happiest look on Dylan McKay's face I'd ever seen from
save that clip. When he finds out,
realized I've been with all of these girls.
I know. It's every man's look. It's like amazing.
Exactly.
All right, we'll hold on that one though, because we want to get to that. Chuck, why don't we talk a little bit about, or with Tom here, we have him here, and talk about the tunnel, right? The tunnel.
Well, yeah, the tunnel was real important. This is a battle between good and evil, and this is the idea that someone is on the life support, is struggling, and is someone who's had a troubled past. And so the demons are right there. Yeah, let's get this over with. You got the bright light coming out, which usually is you go to the light, it's death, and everything's going to be peaceful, whatever, in a good way. And yet you got the demons yelling at him, and yet something is keeping him from not doing these things. So, so then we knew we had to have something like that. We had to have it contained. And I want to give just a shout out to the person who would really take the deep dives right in the start when it was a blank page. And that was our buddy Chip, who I went to him and said, I need to have, him being really disoriented in a battle between good and evil. And he told me to watch a movie called Jacob's Ladder. And Jacob's Ladder was Tim Robbins as a young man, made around in the 90s, I think 90, 91. I didn't see it, and because I was working so hard on 90210, I didn't really even hear of it at the point where he brought it into the conversation. But I watched it, and he's lost his child. He's having a severe case of disassociation, and here's the sentence that I just want to read to realize that this is what we captured, which was, he must decipher reality and life from his own dreams, delusions, and perceptions of death. And so that's what we were attempting to recreate in this light episode of 90210, which is why we have a college football game going on at the same time, because you got to have normalcy too when you're battling, good and evil.
So let's look at some of these. I have Jill, Jill gave me these books of set photos that you guys worked on, Tom, and she gave me some stuff just of the tunnel. So here is putting this tunnel together. Do you know where it was, the tunnel, Tom?
Oh, absolutely. That tunnel is the tunnel on the way up to Griffith Park Observatory. You can't film that anymore, at least not in normal hours of a series filming. And maybe it's too expensive. I don't know, but since about 2005 that I know of, you can't film that tunnel. And then we added in the platform and the columns. And if you notice, the railroad tracks are actually a little close to the platform, but for a real train width. But wow. I don't think most people notice that, especially with the bright light at the end of the tunnel.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
No, not at all. We brought in those columns. Wow.
Oh yeah, we built all of it.
Tom, what were they made of?
Those are sonotube. They're what you actually cast concrete in. So they're fairly light. They're basically like a heavy cardboard. Then we painted them and fit them, and we had to do that in a day. So everything got put in there in a day. Then we filmed it in a day and took it out, I think, the same day it was filmed, because I don't think we were there all day. I think we moved around Griffith Park, and then we had to hide things with greens and everything at the ends of the tunnels. It was a busy day, I'll tell you.
He was like a lot of different.
Steve Randolph was the cinematographer in this one. Molly Campbell pointed out.
That's right.
I know.
Yeah.
I've asked him to come on. He sometimes I'll correspond with him on Facebook, and he was really, Rick Gunther unfortunately is no longer with us. So Steve was there. Steve was, when we did double up, two terrific DPs, and he'd have his crew, and it was really, you never knew the difference of any time. But this was a hard one to do. This is one that we've talked about, Pete and Larry and I, that this was a very difficult day to make for the production group, not necessarily art or this or the crew that struck, but the production group, and they didn't make it the day. And that was the first time I had that experience going into an editing room. This was a challenge to edit, but we'll talk about that a little later as we go through some of the other really good things.
Was Kevin? David, were you in this tunnel also? Did you do?
No, I don't think I ever got to the tunnel.
He did not.
Yeah, I know you were in the bar scene. Yeah, he didn't get to the.
He got to the bar scene. Yeah,
certainly. Nolly was certainly.
Yeah. Charles, I think we should preface this that the previous episode, people need to know what happened at the end of that episode, right? So here's a scene of where Dylan, I'll just show it. So that's what starts all this. That looks complicated.
Oh, I remember
Dan
this. I
Arias.
remember. Well, yeah, Dan. I was like, who is directing that? The thing is people should know the Park Service wouldn't let us let that car go down farther than like 30 feet. It may not even been that far because we weren't allowed to damage the plants. So we put, the natural growth. We put the barricade up, the rail.
That wasn't the city's, yeah.
So that was our guardrail, and then it's the magic of editing that made that look like it went farther, and enough shots to fill in the middle to make it look like it went farther.
Well, it's interesting you use those two words together, enough shots, because what made additionally this a challenge is that in that tunnel we did not have enough shots. So you start seeing things repeated because and other rabbits pulling out of the hat. Which a little bit we'll talk about, I'm sure.
The guardrail scene had to have the. Go ahead.
It's a mundane question, but what happened to the Porsche?
Porsche?
Nothing happened to it. I mean, you mean in real life? Is it still around? Or because on that day, nothing.
In that scene, did it get banged up or?
I think it got some branches stuck in the bottom of it, and I don't think anything was really hurt. It didn't go that far, honestly. It looks like it went farther. That's why.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. Yeah, exactly. It was like the illusion of film in that moment. It wasn't that. The
guardrail is balsa wood, and that was before you started making things out of foam core. But it was balsa wood. Things they were designed to break so they didn't hurt the car.
So it was probably, what is the thing when you are controlling traffic? What's that called when intermittent? What's the term?
ITC.
ITC, intermittent traffic control. Did we have that there, or did we just shut down the road?
Well, on the tunnel,
shut down the road. Yeah,
we shut down the road.
The tunnel, we had to shut down the road, and we had people bypass. But where we did the guardrail, there was no traffic. That was a road that was closed off anyway.
Yeah. So, no, I was talking about the tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah, the tunnel itself, there was a bypass. So they could take the lower road or the upper road or go to the other side. I can't remember exactly, but there's a way around. So we controlled that.
Did you have a chance to check out the episode, you guys?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Good. Oh, Kevin, you've got a great outfit. You've got some great outfits in this one.
I have some great outfits in it, but I have no memory of shooting any of those scenes. None.
Yeah, because
you have to look at it again.
I looked
at it twice.
No.
Well, I can understand, but the thing is that what we tend to forget in terms of the fans who were watching this for the first time at the time is that seeing Suzanne and Kevin, you guys took off with the money, and we hadn't seen you. We hadn't seen hide or tail. You were nothing, and then you walk in the room and show up in the dream. I mean, that was and this script in terms of the dreams part and Luke's part. It was about we're going to wow you. Look at the stuff. Things are going to look kind of. Everything's good, but you're carving the turkey. Are those snakes? There's weirdness everywhere around, and that was fun. Departure in the battle of good and evil, as it were.
Well, we were supposed to get another special guest to pop in. She hasn't got here yet, but I want to show some scenes from the hospital.
Is it my imagination, or was I just sandbagged?
Well, it's a vital part of your medical education, honey. Residents are supposed to make your life miserable.
At least he's still breathing. Look at the rapid eye movement. He's definitely in a heightened dream state.
Yeah, probably.
In what anthropologists used to call primitive cultures, the shamans believed that whenever someone was unconscious, what was really going on was a battle for the person's soul.
Dr. Ponce, to the delivery room. Dr. Ponce.
So,
did you hear the PA for Avery Rosin? That was the last thing in that. I heard my son's name. Yeah,
I did hear that. Yeah. Well, here's a good time to talk about soulmates. And the nurse that is, you revealed this on Patreon, Chuck, that the nurse that was talking about the battle for the soul, that initially when you started to talk about soulmates and eventually thinking about the real McCoy and the past lives thing, this nurse is the person that you guys had in mind initially as the person that Dylan would be.
Well, I wouldn't be that broad because this was not something that we had in mind, because I don't think, and Larry, I don't know if you would even remember this point. I don't think this is something I wanted to share with anybody yet, that I was thinking about doing past lives. So especially around her. So I had been interested in it and also became interested in dreams because, I've, so much of my experience on 90210 was being confounded with narrative problems and going to sleep and waking up and knowing what to do. And without that transformation going on in my sleep, in my subconscious, I don't know how, it just happened too many times to get me interested in, well, what goes on with dreams. And then Karen's, just to go to the hypnosis part of it, the soulmates part of it, Karen's cousin did hypnosis therapy. And so she would talk to us about that. She's a very bright woman. And so, I knew about, but in looking at the performance, you just, if you're going to be, especially, and we're talking about, this was 1994. And so much of what we know today about how the mind works has come since 1994, that what she was talking about in this was, and medical science was just not going to be a party for that kind of thinking. And so as she was reading the lines, I went, yeah, but you weren't the person 10:30 at night in a library at Columbia reading that. I didn't believe that she knew that stuff, that she lived and died by that stuff, because she's looking at somebody like you would in she's looking at somebody in a coma, and she's obviously somebody, that gray area between life and death, the light and all that. There was a lot of things. We could have had a lot of fun, but we didn't, because we didn't cast the right person, and we didn't go after the right person because it wasn't clear yet that was a way to go. It was just really a notion, but the notion was quickly quelled on the first day of production of this episode. I wasn't going to do more because she gave it, and it really is. And I don't mean to attack the actors because I don't know her from being, but it's just one of the things. It happens. The audition performance, David, is better than the end result. Right?
Sometimes.
I don't know if it's a theatrical thing. And the director of this episode particularly liked her. And I was particularly tired by this point during the TV show. There was double ups. And if this is this was one, we've had John Perret on, and we should get him back, Pete. I was just thinking, having Tom here. We were trading strips on the floor trying to figure out where you could transport an actor, where locations had to be moved.
The double ups, people couldn't be on two sets.
And because we were so competitive in season 5, because Fox was now a more competitive network, having just acquired the National Football League, and there was more to everything that we would do. We put a lot. These were the big sweep episodes. We just didn't want run-of-the-mill sweep episodes. They had to be huge. We were a big show by this point.
We had a scheduling czar, somebody who just did that, and I would sit in there with him because I would have to work with both directors.
Ken Stringer, I think.
Ken Stringer. Yep. Yes, Ken Stringer. I get in one van and for the director, and then go to some other place, and they leave me in a parking lot and pick me up with another director.
You'd have to negotiate. You have to negotiate where your stuff was too. And for us, it was like we had to take people in and out of scenes just to be able to get the balance of who was where during to make a day. Because still, you had to have between 5 and 7 pages a day. Still,
let me jump in here and say there was another nurse in that scene, and here she is,
Carole White, my favorite nurse.
How are you?
Carol, how are you?
Hello, Carol.
David, what a treat.
Amazing, man.
Oh, you guys know each other?
We met.
Yeah.
This is
College.
like a TV talk show sometimes, right? When the guests know
Right.
each
Wow, isn't that great?
I work with
we
your, I
went-
work with
we
your
went to
father.
college together at ASU.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, Carol's sister Janet is my oldest friend, and I mean that really sincerely. I think I have an older sister. Hi, Carol. If you're
Hi,
listening.
sweetheart.
And I was saying hello to my Carol, Mushin, you know. But you too. But you know, with being Janet's sister, that's how the big sister of my girlfriend in middle school, and she would hang out at the library, and she was the great actress of Beverly Hills High School, and
You were
the
my
Music
sister's
Man.
first boyfriend.
Here I
there we
was,
go.
yes. And I still
Kindergarten
have
or
a big
something.
place in my heart for that.
Oh, that's
gal,
very
and for his sister.
I worked with your father in
Oh, yeah?
1987. Her father was Jesse White, one of the great people in Hollywood. You know, because my
you.
producing partner was Harry Ackerman. We were doing the new Gidget, and he did his stuff with Alan Hale and Bob Denver. We were kind of doing a little bit of a Gilbert Gonzalez Gidget thing. He was
Great.
just fabulous, such a thrill.
Thank you.
Well, Carol, let me ask you, talking about this episode, what are your memories kind of going back and looking at this?
Oh, well, I forgot I had such a great part. You know, it was like not just the nurse in and out. It was like I was a caring nurse and I liked my work. It's like occasionally you look back on things and go, oh no, but it was nice. I looked good. And you know what? Luke Perry was so nice. Everybody on your show, guys, was so nice. So nice to me. I mean, you know, why wouldn't you be nice? But it was a pleasure. It was a real pleasure. And thank you for that job, Charles.
Because she knows me as a Chucky, actually.
I call him Chucky. Yeah. Chucky.
Well, here's a scene with you and Jenny. I haven't seen these scenes yet, so I'm hoping that it's all good. Thanks, Todd. Let's see.
We try to keep visits to a minimum for the patient's own good.
Okay, maybe not, Todd. What happened?
That's all right.
So anyway, talk to me a little bit about working with all of these people, mainly Jenny, and you know, we were talking about the other nurse, and I think her name is, I think it was Kristen, I think. Do you remember her?
Yes, but she was a young med intern who pretended occasionally to be a doctor, right?
Doctor, yes. Yes.
Yeah, but very nice. You know, nice. You know, it was like, remember your lines, you know, so everybody else is sort of a blur, and then I'm talking to them, and then I'm remembering my lines, you know, actor's process, something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing that I want to ask you about that, David. That sitting there going, you got a day, you got a big scene, you're in a thing, you're a guest in the world. Remember your lines, remember your lines, remember your lines. You have that same inner monologue that Carole just described?
I mean, that's kind of underneath it all. What really is going on is hang on to the guy. Don't lose the guy. And then kind of running the lines in my head, but trying to make it more of a thought than just words.
Right.
Yeah, because he's a real actor. But of course, you do your homework and you know the situation and the given circumstances, as they say. And then when you show up, boom, you do your work.
Well, I really admire actors because and you too, Larry, you act. To remember be able to memorize that. I can't at this point in my life. I can't even remember a phone number. So
right?
It's harder and harder.
Hey, since you know, it is the Luke week for us, what was your experience working with Luke? Did you have anything special happen, Carole, with Luke? And you were in the room with him all that time before the shoot. Was he just curious what his demeanor was like that?
He was gentle. He was, you know, into the work, as we actors say, the work.
No question of that.
Yeah, just he was kind, welcoming, because it was everybody else, almost everybody had been around before, and I was a new guy, and so he welcomed me. And I'm trying to think if we ran anything before. No, because he was, out of it. Yeah. I'm in my bathrobe. Oh, well. I'm also single and, could get exciting. But
nice.
I mean, David, you work with him a lot. I mean, obviously, you work with him from episodes and episodes. I mean, what do you remember? What do you remember most about working with Luke?
I think the most important and most memorable thing is what I mentioned before. Is he was. It was not. Series lead to guest actor. It was just actor to actor, person to person. This is great. We get to do this together. I mean, that was the feeling I got from him, and it made it really easy.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this stuff gets a little bit trippy, like you said. Here's this stuff. Let's see.
Hi, you two. Come on in.
I told you not to bring anything.
You don't think I come empty-handed?
You're terrible, but we love you anyway. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, Mom.
Hi, Dylan.
Oh, what's that?
Mom, where do you think?
Hey!
I hope you brought along your appetite.
What, are you kidding me? I've been fasting for 2 days.
And guess who else is here?
Hey, where you been? Our team's getting clobbered here.
Yeah, which team is that?
Can I get you a drink?
Yeah, maybe later. Oh, how you doing? How was that conference?
Very productive. Our friend, Monsieur Cousteau, sends his best regards.
How is Jacques these days, huh?
Cantankerous as usual, but very appreciative about how our little company has helped to clean up the oceans over the past few years.
Well, as well he should be.
I'll get that.
That's probably Erica.
What? You have my little sister walk over here all by herself? Come on.
Well, what can I say? She's a big girl.
She is. You still hacking away at that poor bird?
You want to take over?
Yeah, just let me let Eric in.
All right, Chuck. Let's walk through
Bigger snakes. We needed bigger snakes. By the way, I just should want to
like
point
the
out
sound effect though.
But Jim's ugly sweater was bought at Bullock's because I did.
Wait, no, hang on. Hang on. I have this. I have this clip of Molly talking about James Eckhouse's sweater. Molly Campbell was the production person on this. So let's see if I can pull this up real quick. This is what Molly had to say about James Eckhouse.
Great.
Okay, then.
What is this? This is definitely, well, look, it's a dream, right? It's a dream. It's Thanksgiving dinner, right? So
No, but
Eckhouse gets all
there
this.
are moments where you just go off the rails. and
Perfect.
That's one of those moments. Look at that.
Where did you find that sweater?
Probably at Bullock's, which was Macy's.
It was in the ugly sweater department.
That's great.
We got a few more clips from Molly. Hey, I want to let everybody know we're trying to get John Grease here, so that is happening behind the scenes as well. So that's where I am.
Keep on Pete. It's Pete Pitbull.
It's just all happening sometimes.
You do it, yeah. Well, you're covering.
Hey, David, I want to ask you about shooting some of that stuff. You have no memory of doing this? Shooting?
I swear I don't. I looked at it. I struggled, and I couldn't come up with it. I would love to have a live for you and make up a story, but I got nothing.
That's okay. Tom, I'm curious about creating the Walsh house and making it look like this dream. How much do you go, like, where do you go to with these ideas?
You know, it was just an exaggeration of fall. So you get a bunch of leaves and I'm not even, Chuck, did you write this in to have the leaves falling inside the house? Because
no, I don't think so.
Because that was great. I mean, you know.
All right.
I don't even know what
It probably was the director.
Hang on one second. Hey, John, can you hear us? John, can you hear us? Nope, it's not John. Okay.
Not quite yet.
Okay.
Doing well, though.
We're trying.
Get Melanie on it, yes.
Yeah, Melanie's on working up behind. I'm sorry. I didn't
well, the leaves, no. Larry said it right. I mean, that came from, production. That came from, you and Drew. That came from, Paul. It's just, Paul, whatever. But it was, the Thanksgiving and the festive and it's just too much. I mean, I could pull out the script and read you the passage, but because as Larry and Pete know, and as I said on the other day, this is the first episode I wanted to reread the script,
right?
Because I wanted to remember what was in there when we shot it, and then what was done in a very long, incredibly long a day of post-production. Really, one of the only ones I remember. A 6-hour session that, morning to the and more. I had lunch at the facility, Larry. I mean, I was in hunkered down and drove to Pasadena and met all my friends at the Rolling Stone concert. Was when we were filming that night. But that was so I was tired. Yeah.
What a run of shows we had there. It's unbelievable.
The
fire was going on the same time.
And the fire was going on the same time as that one. Yeah.
Some more dreamy stuff. The fans are going to love this. The Kelly and Dylan fans, I know. And then, of course...
Since you're the best man, I hope you remember to bring some wedding rings.
Don't worry. If he didn't, I did. You can laugh at me all you want, Dylan. It's okay. I don't care. As long as you marry me.
Valerie.
How many times do I have to tell you I am not Valerie? I am Brenda.
That's who I am. That's who I want to be. I want to be Brenda. And I want to be your wife.
I think we can get started.
Absolutely.
All right, so this is a lot of things to talk about. The weddings. I want to be Brenda. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's talk about...
So intricate. So many things going on. My God, only 6 hours in post-production. I can't believe you did it that fast.
No cutting. Yeah, no, not, but in the cutting room. Yeah, cutting room.
So talk to me about the two weddings, Chuck, and, where you got that from.
Well, Brandon did step in on that Kelly relationship. So that was an easy step in. And Valerie wanting to be Brenda. It's that one passage that we had, that I actually think Karen wrote it in one of her scripts that, Valerie just, saying, I want to be Brenda. What's wrong to want to be in Brenda's room? And what's wrong to do that? So that had already also been established, that being Brenda would have been better than being Valerie, even as it relates to the character of Dylan. So, you just put that in, to go through with the characters.
Michelle asked for you in the dreams. Valerie says, "I'm Brenda." Is that Dylan thinking of Brenda, or is it he thinks Valerie wants to be Brenda?
Valerie wants to be Brenda. That's what I was going for.
Got it.
And anything could be done. Damn it, because we're in the battle of good and evil.
I got you. Well, here's
where was that done, by the way, Tom? Where was that shot? Was that part of the Griffin Observatory day, or
the wedding was shot on set there? The stairs coming down.
That was the Walsh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
At the Walsh house.
Yeah.
And then, set dressing was really good at this kind of stuff too. Jill and her crew.
Oh yeah, I can see now.
We changed out the drapes and added more drapes.
I think there are white leaves falling in this one too. Am I mistaken?
Yes, something was going down there.
Did Molly comment on these white tuxedos?
Yeah,
They're
well,
terrific.
Yeah, there was a same wedding dress. It was.
Here's what Molly had to say about the dress.
Yeah, they look good. I
The
thought.
look of that show, those two dresses on those two girls,
Yeah, I was going to show you the one.
came from a mistake that I made. Mistake. For sure, that doesn't look like New Age.
Right.
Her dress. It's traditional. And same with Tiff. And
Yeah, Valerie. That's right. Yeah.
And it's the same dress. The thing was so difficult was to get two wedding dresses in the right sizes for the two ladies and, get them done. So I didn't even know but they're the same dress.
Wow.
And I worked a lot with a lady who was a bridal gal in Beverly Hills called Renee Strauss for the bride. And but they were totally traditional and totally on sale. And Mr. Spelling and Miss Scale never liked anything better than a bargain.
Well, I mean, I guess it's probably better that you had them wearing the same dress, so there wasn't any sort of
competition. No. Balance out the blonde and the brunette. It's hard enough.
So, Molly, we had a fun time with her. If you're on Patreon, you'll get to watch that whole thing. That was a lot of fun.
I have to tell you, now I've watched this a number of times, and certainly I didn't know it was the same dress. I'm not looking at it in that much detail.
I didn't.
Funny, I noticed it. I noticed it
right from the start. Yeah, but the thing is, because what I'm noticing is the jewelry come down into the bindi like that. That's what I'm focused on. With when Valerie shows up, and I like it. It's a happy accident. I tried to now when she says, "Oh, they were supposed to be New Age like the tuxedos." Yeah, but this was a great. It kept it in traditional bounds too. So it was a fortuitous. I like the imagery of it. I don't know. What do you think, Larry?
Oh yeah, no, it's so trippy, the whole thing. I mean, it's just the trade-offs of the different weddings. I was thinking how clever we were because in sweeps you want to have something to promote. Usually, you want a wedding. We have two weddings. It's twice as good. It's twice as good. We really pumped it up for Fox.
It makes sense to have the same dress too, because it's Dylan's dream.
Yeah.
So he's dreaming. Each girl's in the same dress. It's his vision of what a wedding looks like and his bride looks like. So I think that it worked. Makes a lot of sense.
You look like you're right out of the Music Man, Kevin. David. David's white thing is good.
Our number one episode of season 5 was our, back to the beach, our premiere, what I did on the summer vacation. This was number 2.
This is the outfit you're talking about.
In rating, yeah.
Kevin, yep. He's
handsome.
Wish I had that outfit.
I think Molly probably has it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's got everything.
Let's see here. Well, it gets really wild.
I can do anything you want. Just let your imagination wander. You do have a good imagination, don't you?
Well,
Bet you didn't expect to see me here.
well, actually, no. I think you're the only woman in the room with who I've never had the pleasure.
Well, I've been saving it all for you, Dylan.
Well, we'll just have to fix that, won't we?
Wow.
So you like the way we're fixing it?
Oh, yeah, I like getting fixed.
Are you sure about that?
I think he is.
Ow!
You
all right.
You fixed it all right.
Chuck, I want to ask you what Carol Potter's agent or manager said to you at the time after he saw this episode.
She had a manager. It was a woman manager.
Yeah.
She said, "I don't know what you were on when you wrote this, but keep on taking it."
That was hot.
Very hot.
I mean, the beginning of that, like there's a thing that Chuck talked about when the devil tell or John Grease tell or playing the dope dealer tells Dylan that everyone in this room was someone he one of his lovers. He's like faceless, like delightly lights up, like it's just amazing. And
the happiest, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
and we describe where they met and all of this. So,
I met her there. Yeah, and he actually kisses 8 women in that scene. It's fantastic. I counted it. There are some wonderful kisses there, particularly Tori, though, really goes. We should have asked her about that. I'm just kicking myself. We didn't really.
Well, we'll do it again. We'll talk to her again.
Hold on, we're going to try to get John here. Let's see if this helps.
He actually kisses 8 women in that scene. It's fantastic. I counted it. There are some wonderful kisses there.
So there's a little bit of a delay here.
We should have asked her. Yes. Is he in prison? Is he?
Melanie's trying to help us with
behind
this.
The walls.
We watch you, John. You
know, did a beautiful job,
both
John.
Carol and I go back with you. You don't even know probably all these great stories,
right?
That I'm going to tell at the after party if you don't come on.
Is he also Beverly Hills High School, Chuck?
Here's what I'm going to do.
I believe he would be. His older brother was in my class at Beverly, so John probably was. John probably studied with John Ingle, don't you think, Carol?
Oh, sure. I would think.
John Ingle did this series. You know that, right? I cast John to do.
That he became a professional actor after being such a beloved teacher for all that. It was like, yes,
he had that big career daytime. They loved him.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
It was our high school drama teacher.
We did lose him, unfortunately. So I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Melanie's working her butt off to try to get John on the phone. Okay. I wanted to share this.
No. This little shot.
Relax, Dylan. It'll all be over soon. It'll only hurt for a few seconds, then you'll never feel anything again.
Well, anyway, I don't want to share the whole thing because the music will shut us down real quick. You know, the police don't like that, literally.
It's a latex outfit that Tori is wearing as Donna gyrating.
And Carol, and this is your thing, Pete, with Claire climbing over him. That's and wants a taste of that heroin.
Yeah, I mean, Gabrielle is the only gal who was not part of this scene. So I only imagine she was probably shooting on the other set the whole time. I think we were doing Hate is Another Word. She missed out on the Kiss Fest, the Kiss of Palooza.
Yes, and she had a starring role in that. And you don't see the hardest one in these sets of double ups, and we had to pull him out of things and do things was getting Ian ferrying back and forth. He was the hardest actor to place because he was in demand. He's not in the subplot, but again, we're playing this against the keg football tournament, a father and son. So this is all about the other thing about this episode, that because we're not dealing with that storyline, that has a lot of father and son.
Yeah.
Both we introduce Steve's father, and Jim Walsh shows up to watch this flag football game, and the nature of the fact, and Steve's father finds out that Dylan is on a life support, and it doesn't look good, and so when the father has a factor in this plot too, in the dreams plot, the father and the mother factor in at certain points.
Oh yeah. I mean, we see Stephanie Beacham.
It was so great to see Jed Allen, God rest his soul.
I was just thinking too. Thank you for mentioning Jed. We really want to honor him. Carol, do you know his family at all? We want to get one of his kids to come on and talk about Jed. He has 3 sons. He has a Rick, Mitch, and a Dean. And I put out feelers to them, but they haven't responded to me because we love Jed and his work is just fantastic. In this episode, it's great to see.
Yeah. Well, here's what Molly said about Kathleen, just as for you Kathleen fans. Start with Kathleen because she's got nothing to do with the episode, but we love starting with her because she's also in one of these.
Don't tell me.
She is. She absolutely is. She's a sweetheart. But she's also in this dream sequence, right? Look at her here. Ooh. Jeez Louise. I don't know what she's wearing there. Would you?
Smokes. She smokes. You don't even care what she's wearing or if she's wearing anything.
Exactly.
Her face is so astonishing to me. I saw her and I was watching something and called Hollywoodland, and she's in that. This is the story of George Reeve, who played Superman.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, she's just stunning in it.
So there's a little bit about Kathleen for you, for me.
For you.
Okay. Well, let me ask Tom. Some of the things we just watched a whole bunch of different sequences. We watched, the stuff at the pool with the pool table, and that room where Dylan sees all of the people, all the women in his life. Tell me about setting some of those rooms up. I don't have any of Jill's photos of that.
Yes, there was not a lot of time to take photos, although I have a pile of photos somewhere from the pool hall because we built that bar. We had 3 pool tables. One was a little small. I believe Bethany Rooney directed that one. At least part of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, early in the season, yes.
Yeah.
When she meets Dylan, it was a running. We did a lot of episodes there where Dylan was playing pool and she'd be showing.
That's where he met the character of John Grice.
Yeah,
where he standing by.
I'll tell you,
he hung up.
Tori Spelling's latex dress. I was in there trying to take pictures, and she was up on a bar. Well, she was on the bar, and then she was down and gone and came back, and then somebody said it turns out that she could see panty lines or bra lines or both, and she went away and she came back and you couldn't see those anymore because they were gone. And I said something. There was an extra sitting in the booth below me, and I said, I guess maybe she's not wearing anything under that dress. And this was a girl who was sitting there, and she goes, I know, I can see. Just that she was on a bar, and that height difference of me standing versus sitting was kind of revealing.
So that was the best seat. So, like somebody's perspective, that was the best seat in the house, right?
I suppose so. I don't think this girl cared.
Yeah, Tori was a trooper. She's a trooper.
She was. Yeah. She was, and that dress worked. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do.
Oh my God!
It worked so well. We brought it back 2 years later and strike the match when she did
again. Shocking to see her in the dress, and shocking to see, how dark it is with Claire wanting heroin. I mean, these. Where were they in that? And look at Brian.
Is that Brian there? Oh wow!
Yeah, he wanted to get in a little fun.
He looks like something out of Lost Boys.
He does a little.
Yes, he does. Yeah, really, really tense.
Yes.
I asked Kathleen about this. She had no memory of it. So.
Actor amnesia.
A lot of that going around.
Yeah,
we had it too. That's why we watched the episodes again. And then we kind of
to try to remember.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck, you mentioned at the top of this that there was some production challenges for you. That you had to do a lot of post-production stuff. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that? What that was like for you? You get everything back. You go to post-production. You're in the editing room.
It basically was, that you have a script, and the script you put act breaks. This is how the act break was. But when your first act is like 8 minutes, and the music and the director, God bless him, he put in music score on the opening sequence when they're actually taking Dylan down to the hospital in the ambulance, and he played from the band. I think it's Soundgarden. This was, Todd H is into this music with Kurt Cobain and Ask Questions, but this was Soundgarden. Runaway Train.
Soul Asylum.
Runaway Train on.
Soul Asylum.
Soul Asylum. It is one, and this is not knocking the band. I got nothing against the band, but playing against the film that we had taken and the urgency that we needed to put on. I started crying the first like 30 seconds. Oh my God, are we? So anyway, we had to do a lot of work on the cut, and the song left, and we just did natural sound, to get in there, the natural world and again, that was, and for the Spelling Company, a lot of shows did that. But for the Spelling Company, that was really revolutionary to not have underscore.
Opening. Yeah.
And have it that way.
You can only imagine what would have been replaced, Chuck, if we would have had the song.
So being that short, so I switched things around, and we had to put. We have clips in the episode that weren't written into the episode, or they were going to be very short. Then they ended up being much longer because we needed so much more time. And then everything in the tunnel had to be accelerated, repeated, inverted. We just, to make all the other stories, make sense. So it just was a time-consuming process because I had to, like, you go back when you do a sound mix, they call it, Larry, going back to the stems.
Yeah.
You go this was going back to what footage did we have? Get it out. Let's see every single shot we took in that tunnel is in this film. I guarantee you, because we needed more angle. We needed more stuff. It was a battle. It wasn't a battle between good and evil, but it was a battle between good and not so good.
We didn't get John Grease here, but why don't we talk a little bit about his performance despite him not being here? I think he, as the dope dealer, I guess is what we're calling him, or I don't know what he is.
The demon. He played like a devil, a demon.
Scary.
Yeah. For me, scary. Yes.
Very good. Scary, great work.
Yeah, he let himself go. He really did. He really kind of, did some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear his talk about.
Is that the one from that we were talking about from the one after this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before you play that, this
is just a picture. We only have stills of that.
So. Oh, just okay. The thing about about him, the way he played the devil too, is that it had a quality that I associate with the devil. Look, I'm of that generation that watched Damn Yankees every single night on the $1 Million Movie. So Ray Walston as the nice devil is implanted in my brain, and I think he brought definitely some of that. And it's interestingly enough, because someone could steal this now. So what do we care anymore, Larry? Larry had a great idea that the devil takes a summer vacation in Martha's Vineyard, and we were going to play the devil exactly like this guy was played. Like, I just want to be part of, nice guy in this, but if you're going to do this, fuck, I'm the devil, and that's how.
But everyone else is worse on the island, of course.
Yeah,
the devil, that's part of the thing. He's the only moral one there.
Exactly. As it turns out, it was a good idea, great idea, actually. I think. But anyway, that was the.
I think this was the perfect devil for Dylan. Really, that's what it was, like, kind of a devil created for Dylan McKay, really, because it was we had already built up the whole attraction of what dope and heroin was.
That's why he had brought him into heroin. So
he just became an extension of that. But John really took a couple of good leaps there, and I really take my hat off to him if I had to have.
And I love the delivery. My favorite John line, if you're listening to this all, is when you go, he says, go to hell. Oh, I've been there. It's not so bad.
Yeah, it's so good. We actually repeated twice, I think, which is
yes, we did. Well, because we
know.
But some problems there. Had to repeat the material.
Sometimes you just have to toss the script out and work with the.
That's what we did, and I never had to
work.
And I never had to do that in 90210 until this episode. So I went all those episodes. We never. Pretty much started from scratch, at least trying to find the performances, trying to get the pace going. Maybe because it was more ambitious as well, And I think what went on in that tunnel was pretty ambitious. I just look at what you built, Tom, and with those big columns, and and then stripping it is one thing, but also just then the lighting probably the lighting took a little longer, and the big but the white light at the end is just the end of the tunnel. I think is really effective.
That was the lighting department, but we had
and Noli comes back at the end of this too.
Right, because you're hearing her voice the whole time. As you've watched the episode, help me, Dylan, help me, save me, and putting that on that is as knowing that there's something else going on than what's being shown, that there's something more, and the help me, save me is maybe is please stick around and find out and rescue me, which we put that to bed when Larry goes down to Cabo.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We also have the taxi driver moment where all of a sudden the last person he's gonna kind of screw is pops up, and it's his stepsister, and she's dressed just like Jodie Foster in Taxi Driver. Yeah. So we have the taxi driver, we got the exorcist, the guy, hey, can you help an altar boy?
Yeah, switch that. And then the Jacob's Ladder being the whole.
Ladder,
there's two other things too. There's obviously we get this moment with Josh Taylor with Jack McKay. Yeah. So writing that in, was that something that was originally written, Chuck, or is that something? Yeah, I guess so, right?
Yeah, sure.
That was what it was.
The actor was broken.
When you as broken as the character, the Dylan McKay, and you've really got to integrate him back to what many people were considering a high school teenage show, but at least the ensemble that was 90210. The thing that I felt was needed and was wanted is that he would not just be back, but want to be back. And wanting to be back, meaning, yes, I want to live. Or maybe there's a reason to live. And it's funny, Larry, Pete know too, but Larry really about in The Mayor of Venice, I'm grappling with the same issues
I know
as this with that. But it is that notion of what do you do? Is this your time? And it certainly seemed like it should have been his time again and again and again and again, but something was keeping him not, part of it being, Noli, the sister, Erica, and then part of it, of course, being Dad.
And we get Iris McKay at the end of the episode too, right? We've got
a real rush.
Really threw everybody in
all the feels you get there with Stephanie Beacham steps in there. As Chuck will say, the most expensive day for an actor in all of.
Especially if she would go by the hour rate. It was 2 hours, or 3 maybe, and she got a lunch out of it.
She got the scholarship. Sometimes it works out in your favor, but you needed her desperately, and it really made all the difference because
have her there at the end.
Is she still a dream? Is it still a dream? And then she's out of the dream, and it just took her right out. It's a beautiful piece of writing.
Really nice stuff, guys. And then Chuck, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about what happens in the next episode, and we can probably do more on that. But we do see John Grease's character again, right? I want you to talk about that.
Well, that was the idea that he comes back and he's not, and we know that Dylan, and it's near the end of the episode. It's near it might be near end of Act 3 business, maybe even to Act 4. But he shows up in Dylan's in the rehab place as if he's a friend, and get to be able to get in the first place. And then basically says, you ever talk about where you got the thing, I'm going to kill you. And then, of course, immediately goes back to, good to see you, buddy, as Stephanie Beacham, as the mom, is walking in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As Iris is walking in. And it's a really good scene. And, I just justice describing it. But at some point, you check it out.
Couple of questions from Patreon I want to hit you with. Jennifer Kendall wants to know, did Luke have any input on this episode? And I know that you revealed on Patreon that he did. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, sure. It was, as I said, this is a script I went back to read. And I saw that in my heart, it was tell play by me, story by me and Luke. I gave Luke story credit. And he's not given story credit on screen. And Larry pointed out rightly that to get the story credit on screen like that, the Writers Guild has to see paper. And when Ian soon after does get credit in the episode that we did when we had Milton Berle come on to guest star,
Sentenced to Life.
There was paper. So there was a that the interaction. So we had learned from our mistake here. But yeah, Luke always did, and Luke had it's something that Carole doesn't remember, and why should she? But that I actually got called on the set on the first day. The first day was filming in the hospital, and Luke wanted more intensity, and was sensing that it might be something's not completely connecting in that point. But what he was most concerned about was how him running down the hallway was going to be done, and I thought that was pretty effective. I don't know how you felt about that.
He has pajama pants on, by the way, because normally a patient would not have pants on, but they decided to put pants on him, which was a good decision.
All right,
Chuck. I think we covered this episode pretty good. What do you think?
Well, we sure did, and it really works because and you wouldn't even be remotely considering doing anything like this if you didn't have a partner on board. My partner was Luke Perry on this one.
Tom, I don't know that you've ever talked about Luke. You've had some experiences, I'm sure, working with him. Do you want to say anything about Luke Perry?
I would just say he was a really nice guy who, how so many actors can get full of themselves when they get some stardom. He never had that. He just was a regular guy, and was always appreciative of everybody around him. It seemed like, even when there was craziness, he just was pretty calm through it all. Just a really good guy.
Yeah, and at this point, he also really liked the Hollywood lifestyle, because I was thinking about him in Planet Hollywood. In Planet Hollywood, he got to hang out with Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, and he was one of the celebrity people. They put him in there, and they'd fly him to openings and and he enjoyed that too. He enjoyed playing, sitting in the VIP area and all of that while it was going on with 90210.
For sure.
He was still just a regular guy
from
enjoyed
Southern Ohio. Exactly right.
Oh yeah.
Exactly right.
Oh yeah.
I want to tell you about what's coming up in the next few weeks. March 10th, Larry and I are going to be here with Randy Spelling as we talk about an episode from season 6, Smashed. That should be a lot of fun, right? Larry, do you want to give a little preview of that?
Randy, obviously, we worked him into the show. He played one of Steve's flying monkey stepbrothers, and he was delightful. I want to hear his whole take on the thing. Also, growing up spelling. I mean, there's a lot to talk to Randy about. He's a wonderful kid, man. And then
March 17th, we're going to look into Tony and Dylan's. We're not so much because we covered the one wedding and the funeral, but we're going to look at the romantic relationship there. And then March 24th, as of this moment, we're doing the presumption of innocence, which is a real crazy storyline talking about it. Deals with incest. I'm saying the word wrong.
Incest. An area that not many exotic shows were doing at the time, and we were still a high school show.
And then we'll do a little spring training and some sports. We'll talk about that at the end of the month. And this, for everybody that wants to join us, I want to say this again. Tomorrow at 3:45 Pacific, 6:45 Eastern, we have a Zoom chat going on. Talking about Luke, sharing your memories and all that stuff. I know fans, I've said it at the top of the show, this is a very tough day and a tough couple of days for all of us. I know we were all just shocked and devastated when we lost Luke Perry, someone that we all looked at as probably like a brother in some way. So if you want to just talk about your feelings and get them out, join us. You can just email me, Peter at BeverlyHills90210show.com. And we'll sign you up for that list to be a part of that. We're going to wrap things up and say goodbye to our panel, but we have that beautiful video that Todd H. made for the Super Show. I'm going to play that out, but we'll say goodbye to everybody here.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming by, David.
Thank you. It's great to be part of it.
Carole, thank you.
Nice to see you guys.
Thank you, guys.
And here's that video.
Bye, Carole.
It's not me they're coming out to see. It's this character that I play. Yeah, a year ago I was shoveling asphalt, and a year from now I could be doing it again.
Luke is a super supportive, loving, stand-up guy.
What a genuine, classy young man.
One of the gentlest souls.
He was a very singular human being. I just adored him.
He was a wonderful man.
He had that quality that certain people have where when you feel like you're talking to him, he was 100% focused on you.
He did not have a bad bone in his body. He was just the kindest, most gracious, humble, funny. He was absolutely the best. I absolutely adored him.
We got to see each other one last time. It was the same Luke, the same amazing, loving, kind, funny, crazy Luke.
Luke was a writer's dream. He pushed you to do better, and then he delivered on screen. It was a wonderful collaboration.
Luke just wanted to go. He wanted to go. He wanted to act. He wanted to tell this story. He was an artist, and he went for it in that show. It was beautiful. He was beautiful.
He loved the work. He loved being an actor, and he loved finding the best he could in a scene.
He committed to things, and he went for it, and he wasn't afraid to just go for it.
He always was down to earth. He really was a serious actor.
He was just so thoughtful. I mean, everything he did, he really worked on. He thought about. There was nothing casual in his work ethic.
Infectious energy, he was just this incredible, warm, generous guy.
I went into the makeup trailer and Luke was there. And usually he and I would share some banter, we'd talk, and I could see he was already in the moment. He was already preparing for what was coming up. And I was like, wow, it was really, really amazing. And so I think he inspired everybody around him.
Luke was in the moment with every moment. He was living and breathing this, wanting it to be something that we'd be talking about 30 years later. And he made it so.
He was a really, really good actor, but being an actor, I don't think was the be-all and end-all of his life. He was a good man.
I asked him something like, well, so, what are you going to do with all this money you're making? And he said, I'm going to buy my dad a truck. Oh, my God, this kid, he's so grounded.
And it was just that selfless quality that he had, that he wanted to just celebrate everybody else's joy.
While I was waiting to do my screen test with Tori that day, I was given one of the dressing rooms. As I was going in there, Luke sort of pulled me aside and said, hey, I know this is it's pretty stressful, but you're going to kill it. It gives me shivers thinking about it, that he would just take the time to do that.
Luke Perry was very, very friendly with me, and we got on very well while I was working. He was a good support.
Luke, knowing his background, to be who he was, and to be as humble and kind and generous was astounding. You say his name and I tear up. He was just an incredible human being.
He fought so hard to look like the guy who loved horses all the time. He wanted everybody to know he was the real guy, but he didn't need to do that because he just was the real guy.
Such a lovely, charming, wonderful human being, so this series, you just miss him.
Amazing. He was amazing.
I know he is deeply missed by so many.
He's missed.
He was a really special guy. People that got a chance to know him, they're lucky.
He wore his heart on his sleeve, and he was a warm, kind, loving guy. Had it all.
He was a miracle of a person.
When my time here is up, I don't want to look back and see that I didn't do anything. And by that I mean I didn't have any effect on anything else. I see a lot of people that let their life happen to them, and I want to happen to my life. I don't want my life to happen to me.